Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. It was a weekend, I suppose, where we saw all four teams at the top of the table win their games. We've seen a team relegated in Dundalk, and we've seen a team officially safe in Bohemians. We'll get into the games though. First up, we had Drogheda United and Shamrock Rovers at Weavers Park, where it finished Drogheda United 0. Shamrock Rovers won. A fantastic strike from Dylan Watts with about 5 minutes to go, giving Shamrock Rovers a vital 3 points, because at one point, obviously with 5 minutes to go, the other three sides were leading and Shamrock Rovers weren't winning. And you'd wondered, but they got the goal and got a very good win at Weavers Park to put them in a position at the table where obviously they're still 2 points behind Shelbourne and level with Derry City, but also 2 points above St. Patrick's Athletic, who are in fourth place in the league now as well. So it was a very good win for Rovers, a hard-fought win, I would have to say. I think Dennison made some good saves in the game, but the best chance of the game outside of the goal, well, obviously the goal was a brilliant strike rather than a good chance, but you know what I'm saying, was James Taylor's chance, where Poles comes out and makes a good save. It wasn't an easy chance, that, but when it comes back, he should score. It was 0-0 at this point. He isn't quite composed, is he? And there's a lot of width on the other side of the goal, and he's gone for that kind of near post-ish area, and he's blazed it over, and then you'd expect him to score from there. That would have put them 1-0 up, and the game would have been completely changed. But it was a kind of a result that Shamrock Rovers were used to getting over previous seasons when maybe they weren't at their very best, and they get late goals. They obviously haven't been doing that too often this season, but a win that puts them, I think, in a very good position. We'll obviously have the prediction show later on in the week and we'll go through that, but you'd have to fancy them in the last two games to get 6 points, winning away to Dundalk and beating Waterford at home. And if they do that, that means Shelbourne, we'll talk about them in a minute, and Derry City would have to win their 2 games. I'm not so sure Shelbourne and Derry are going to win their last 2 games. Obviously, both clubs can't win the last 2 games for a start, but I'm not sure either club will. But no, it was a very good result for Shamrock Rovers. And look, by their standards, they've been poor all this season, and they've really been let back in the race, really. I mean, before this weekend, Shelbourne had 1 win and 10, Derry had 1 win and 9. Even a couple of more points knocks Rovers out of the race, doesn't it? They've been on a decent run, to be fair to them, but they haven't gone 8-9 wins in a row or anything like that. So they've got into the race, decent form, pretty much a full strength squad, bar Clark. I think there might be another player missing as well, but in general, they're pretty much a full strength. And they're back in the race. I actually have them as favourites because of if you look at the fixtures, to be honest with you. So they're back in the race. So they could win this league, this drive for 5. They could win this league yet, and they'll be very happy with that. Drogheda to be disappointed. Obviously Bohemians played on Saturday, so they didn't know at the time, but they're officially 9th now with 2 games to go, and you wouldn't blame them at all to be fully focused now in the playoffs and obviously the FAI Cup final. Anyone with a bit of a niggle surely isn't going to play in the next couple of games. And not only that, but subconsciously, even if you're, a lot of first team players do play, subconsciously you're not fully, there's nothing on the line, and it does make it difficult, I think, to be honest, going into games. And you're thinking to yourself, if you're a Drogheda player, to be honest, do I want to be injured for an FAI Cup final? Do I want to be injured for a playoff final? Absolutely not. So subconsciously, you mightn't do some of the things that you would normally do otherwise, I believe. It could be a great season for Drogheda. It could be an absolute disaster season for Drogheda. Let's see what happens there in the next couple of weeks. But overall, great win for Shamrock Rovers, and it keeps them very much alive in this race. Now at Oriel Park, it finished Dundalk 0, Derry City 2. And before we get on to Derry City, we obviously have to talk about Dundalk here and their relegation to the first division. Obviously, it's been a terrible season for Dundalk. This was coming. In a sense, it was probably better off coming now, because I think it was just going to get dragged out anyway, to be honest with you, over the next couple of weeks. And, they've scored 23 goals all season, the least in the league. Even Galway, who we know don't score many goals, have scored 7 more goals than that. And then they've conceded 49. And in this game, I just felt it was inevitable. I'll talk about that more in a Derry way, but perspective. But from the Docks' point of view, they obviously didn't get relegated tonight, as they say. It's the whole season, and we all are very aware of the off-field issues and the off-field problems at the club and what's gone on there. And we've spoken and looked into that in detail before. But in terms of the players, I'll just focus on the players now. From what I've seen at Dundalk all season, there's been no lack of effort amongst the players. Unfortunately for them, they just haven't been good enough, to be honest. They've been the weakest team in the league, I think. And, they have actually tried extremely hard in their games. And I think what happened really is it was neck and neck with Drogheda for a long time, wasn't it? And it looked like it was them that was going to be 10th. But the swing of the summer window swung it really in Drogheda's favour. I spoke about it before, but the signs Drogheda made. But then the players that Dundalk lost were huge as well. Archie Davis and Johnson, etc. And just the players that came in were nowhere near as good. They tried to bring in a goalkeeper and have gone back to Ross Monroe, that kind of way. So I still think, though, they could have got a bit more out of their attack, if I'm honest with you. I think, Horgan, O'Kane, Gullen's okay. They're not bad, they're not bad. I'm not saying they're, some of the best in the league, but they're not bad. I think they could have got more out of their attack, personally, and I don't know if the defense setup was a bit too defensive potentially under Daly. But they've had a lot of different managers this season, and you nearly forget about that. It's been such a long season for Dundalk, and so much has gone on that you do forget that, for example, Noel King was manager at one point. You know what I mean? You do forget, and it feels like a long, long time ago since Steve O'Donnell was the manager of the club, doesn't it? But look, they're relegated and they have to reset now, and hopefully things now will improve for Dundalk going forward, and they can have a club and get sorted for next season. That's the most important thing. Reset. If they have to go part time, they have to go part time. I've said that before. The whole thing was compounded by a ridiculous situation that happened in the stands after the game as well, where there seemed to be a bit of aggro going on between the Connollys and Temple and that, and it appears that Temple actually had a black eye, and I'm not going into too much detail into any of that, but I don't know what's going on there, to be honest with you, or who to blame there, but that's not on. As for Derry City, just important, they got the win. They had to win this, and it turned out so, didn't it, with the other 3 teams winning too. After the 2 disappointing draws at home, they had to win this. And they did. They won it quite comfortably in the end, I'd have to say. There was a stage the second half for Dundalk, they put them under pressure. But they obviously took the lead through Colin Whelan on 16 minutes, or Colin Whelan's shoulder, if you like, in 16 minutes. It was great to see him getting the score sheet being on, all joking aside, though, because he's been out for so long with 2 bad injuries. It doesn't matter how it goes in. Mullen does well to head the corner. Duffy's corner is swung in and Mullen heads it and comes off Whelan and goes in. Patching's penalty, as cool as you like, in 77 minutes, giving Derry all 3 points. And I think it was Duffy, actually, if I remember rightly. Yeah, Duffy was fouled, 100% a penalty. All 3 points for Derry. Comfortable win in the end, really. Just a much needed win for Derry going into the last few games. And that's what they needed, to be honest with you. And they have a big game next week against Pats, which will be really interesting too. Shelbourne had a 3-1 win against Waterford at Talca Park, and they were in trouble for a little while in this game. I always felt they'd win the game, though. As I said, Waterford nothing to play for, and again it comes into your subconscious and don't care what anyone says. And they did take the lead in 37 minutes through a Podge Amond penalty, which could have upset the apple cart. Shells were playing quite well, though, and were creating chances. I don't think it was a penalty, personally. I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was a bit harsh, if I'm honest with you. Excuse me. I think it was a bit harsh, to be honest with you. I think it was more of a coming together than anything, to be honest. Maybe there's something that the referee's seen that I couldn't see from that angle in the replay. That's all I'll say. But I would have erred on the side of no penalty. Um, Boyd equalises 3 minutes later, and Waterford be sick of this one because I'm not sure what Derry he's thinking. He had two options. Boyd does well to put him under pressure, and as all good strikers do, you put them under pressure, you take advantage of a mistake, and you finish it coolly, in which Sean Boyd did. I'll talk about him in a minute, actually. But Leahy had two options: either play it back to the keeper, or shimmy a little bit and kind of move out towards the left back slot, and he gets away from Boyd. To be honest, he just gets caught completely, doesn't he, in his thoughts for some reason, and it's a big mistake. But Boyd really capitalises, and Boyd scores a penalty in 80 minutes. We'll get on to that, and Liam Burt scores in 84 minutes. But with Sean Boyd, he gives him such a presence. Like, he'll occupy the defenders. You can whip crosses into the box with Boyd there. And he can win a 40-60 against them. He does give them a presence. I think he's a big miss when he's not there. So this break helped Shelbourne. I thought it might. The 12-day break, I think it was 12 days. They needed a reset. Anyone with a niggle. A mental reset more than a physical reset, in my opinion. And I think it done them the world of good. And second half, they deserved to win. Ammon did have a good chance, though. It wasn't an easy chance, I have to say. Patterson does well on the right and plays the ball into Ammon, sorry. Good cross. He does very well on the right. And Ammon kind of hits the first time as Barr comes across, just goes over, but wasn't easy. I have to say, it wasn't easy. The penalty Shell's got in 80 minutes. Likewise, I don't think it was a penalty either. I'd be veering on the side it wasn't a penalty either. The only good thing is, I suppose, both teams, do you know what I mean? No one was harshly treated, if you like, in that way. But I think Patterson, obviously he doesn't see the player, but he strikes the ball and clears it, and he does catch the player, but the ball's gone anyway. I don't think it's a foul personally either. I don't think either of them are penalties. Boyd finishes well, fair play to him. And then with a couple of minutes to go, Liam Burt scores that insurance goal. Typical good Liam Burt movement. Maybe Sargent could have done a little bit better though. Maybe. But Burt does well, slaloms into the area and or just outside the area and strikes with his left boot, and it's a decent strike, there's no doubt. Sargent does get his hand to it though, and the finish is 3-1. As for Waterford, their season is fizzling out a little bit. I still think though, a lesser manager than Keith Long, and Waterford could have been lower in the table, I'll be honest. So I think overall it's a good season for Waterford, and they have a big game at Bows in terms of still want to finish out of Bows basically. But as for Shelbourne, badly needed. I think if they didn't win this, kind of like Derry again, but I think their goose would have been cooked nearly. Even if it was a draw, they would have been level with Derry and Shamrock Rovers. But I honestly, I think it would, the three teams, you know what I mean? They're the team that have been ahead all season basically since week 2 or 3 when Waterford were ahead. Derry City haven't been top of this league once, and they've had many opportunities to do so. Shamrock Rovers haven't, obviously, as well, because they've been well behind. So that's that, yeah. That's that. Shelbourne 3, Waterford 1 at Talca Park. Finally, on Friday, we have a Saturday game to talk about as well. Between St Patrick's Day 2, Galway United 1. And this will be a war of attrition, to be honest. Keenan with 2 goals for Pats on 32 and 68. Ed McCarthy on 50 minutes. A big match in terms of you felt like whoever won this are going to finish 4th anyway. And Pats managed to get the win. They're 3 points above Galway with 2 games to go. They're 2 points off Derry City and Shamrock Rovers with 2 games to go. Obviously 4 of Shelbourne. 8 wins on the bounce for Pats. Nobody's done that this season. They're in a great run, Pats. And, they're in a great run, Pats. And the performance, decent at times. I think in the first 30 minutes or so, roughly, Pats were the better side. Keena does well to finish, to put them 1-0 up after a good play from Forrester. Plays a nice through ball. But then after that, for the rest of the half, Galway were the better side. Pats let their levels and urgency levels go down after they scored. They've done that twice, I feel, in the game, by the way. Lamboto had a great chance, though, for Galway, where Keohan does well on the right-hand side, gets a good cross into the box. And Lamboto, it's knocked back, actually. And Lamboto, it's good movement. and he gets into a good position ahead of his defender. But instead of trying to hit it with his left foot, he tries to hook it with his right foot, and it comes off the post. It was a difficult chance to do that. I think if he makes contact with his left foot, it's a goal, to be honest. And Galway put a lot of pressure on Pats for the rest of the half. Into the second half, and I thought to myself, Pat's probably up the tempo, but it was Galway who came out, actually. They made a couple of subs, actually, and one of those subs was Ed McCarthy, and he turns brilliantly and unleashes an unbelievable strike to beat Joey and Ang and get Galway level, deservedly level too. There was a little bit of a lull after that. I got a bit scrappy after that, I thought, the game, to a degree. And then Pats kind of burst into life. I'd say with about 20 minutes to go-ish, maybe 25 minutes to go. When they score? Sorry, they scored after 68. I would say around the 60th minute, actually, Pats burst into life and created a number of chances, played good football, high tempo. Levy hit the post. It's one thing I'll talk about as well. Jake Mulroney and El Bazzetti went off injured, which is a big concern for Pats going into the last 3 games. El Bazzetti with a hamstring injury. I believe Jake's might be a back injury. So I think they'll do well to have one of them available for the Derry match for a start. But they've done well to grind it out in the end with them two off the field as well. McLennan and Levy come in. But talk about Levy there. Levy hits the post after a very good play from deep with his left foot. He also missed a great chance where Clark makes a good save, but I think he has to score. He's only a couple of yards out. And Pats had created chances. Eventually, they did find the net when Keena scores at 60. A very good move. Forrester, quick ball to Kavanagh, and Brandon Kavanagh sets him up for his 14th assist of the season. And Keena's definitely up and running now. Great movement to peel away and finish it in 2-1. And then Pats went in a bit of a lull again, and Galway came back roaring into the game. And at this point, a lot of corners, a lot of throw-ins in the last 20 minutes or so. And I thought Joey Ang dealt brilliantly with them. He took pressure off the 2 centre-backs and defenders generally by command in the area. Joey Ang, I thought he was brilliant in that regard. And he made 1 or 2 saves as well. Galway kept going and kept fighting and kept putting Pats under pressure and, could have easily got an equaliser and drawn the game. And I have my hats off to Galway United because, they have a great attitude as well, and they'll stay in the game and they come up against a team who's on form and, battle right to the end. And Pats really had to grind that result out in the end, and they did. So it was a good 3 points for St. Patrick's Athletic, and obviously an interesting game at home to Derry next. But we'll get on to the final game now, and that was Sligo Rovers and Bows on Saturday. A game where Sligo obviously lost the game, but I feel with Sligo, I've said this all season, their squad maybe lacks depth compared to some of the other sides, so they're missing a couple of players like as Chapman, etc. Henry Francis was missing as well, for example. It does kill them nearly more than any other team, and they battled in this match, to be fair to them. Devoy gave Bows a good lead after 23 minutes, a deserved lead. Sligo did put Bows under pressure, but in the end, Meekison scores in 82 to give Bows the 3 points, and the 3 points that keeps Bows up, basically. And I know Bows fans will be thinking, yay, brilliant, what a season, but, that's the position they were in, and that's where they are now. And they have to reset a little bit again next season and do better. The good thing is they'll have Devoy, who's playing very well at the moment from the start of the season, and Ross Tierney, who was suspended for this match. But Sligo will be a bit disappointed that they didn't get anything out of the game in terms of, the league table. They're now 5 points behind Pats and 4th and 2 behind Galway. They do play Galway next week. But, the Bit of Red will be a little bit disappointed with that. But they've done well this season. They're still in the race for a possible top 4, which was fantastic for them. But just a little disappointing. Maybe they couldn't beat Bows at home. Bows, be happy with the performance. Played quite well. They have a match against Waterford next week now as well, as I said in the Waterford Shell segment, where they should be trying to think, can we beat Waterford and catch them? So you've got that, but it has been a disappointing season for Bows, but they'd be just delighted, I think, to get the 3 points here. And Sligo Rovers and the Showground's not an easy place to go. As I said, for Sligo, last couple of games, can they win? Massive game against Galway. Galway will have to win that too. We'll talk about that in the prediction show if they've any chance of getting 4th. I believe the 2 of the derbies anyway were 0-0 this season. Connacht Derby. I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments, but yeah, good win for Bows. They're staying up. What more can you say about that, really, at this point? And I think I'll leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't. What else? That's it, really. Have a good evening. Take it easy.